Hi everybody, I'm Jack and this is Raw Tropical Living. Thanks for joining me again today. I'll get right into it today. The subject is why do people seem to struggle so much with whatever path they've chosen or whatever level they're at in this lifestyle, whether you're trying to be raw vegan, whether you're trying to just be vegan, whether you're trying to eat high carb, low fat. It seems like there's always people talking about they fell, they cheated, they fell off the wagon, whatever your euphemism is to talk about having a setback. And there's different types of setbacks too, so let's clarify that to begin with. All of us are not going to eat 100% optimal all of the time. So like a setback for some people is really not that unhealthy of a thing. They're just not quite on their path. And then there's setbacks and there's falling off the wagons that are very serious, where people go back to eating things that we 100% know we shouldn't be eating, whether it's junk food, whether it's animal products, whatever. And everybody deals with that. Everybody struggles with that from time to time. But I'm kind of focusing on a group that seems to be struggling a lot. And I mean, not any one group, but like I say, you read a lot of comments. I try to read. One of the reason I always bring that up is that I read a lot of comments, or that I watch a lot of videos, and I like to look at the comments on that, is because it lets you know what other people are dealing with, and it lets you know what other people's problems and their struggles are. And it seems like there's just a segment of people that are trying to live healthier, whether it be, like I say, being raw, vegan, raw till 4, whatever your thing is. And that's what it is about. It's about being successful on your path and on your plan. My path may not be yours may not be mine, but we can still talk about this, and we can use psychology to try to overcome these type things. Now, I was sitting around thinking about this last night. Actually, sometimes before I go to bed, I just sit down and free write and just make notes, just bang some stuff out on various subjects. A lot of times, a good portion of it just gets erased because it's just musings and things that go on in my head, or sometimes it just gets me going in a thought process, and I don't necessarily need to use what is written. But I got taking notes last night, and I actually got kind of stuck on it for a while. And I've come to the conclusion that the biggest problem in this lifestyle, and why so many people struggle and so many people have a problem and so many people fail, is they rush the transition, or they try to transition too fast. Now, I've done videos on transition, and I've talked about the transition process before. But I think this is a subject that is worth going back and talking about more and more, and exploring different different thoughts about it. I'm going to use. Let me get my notes out a little bit here, because I got a couple of key things. Yeah, I got some. I had my eyes checked the other day, and now I've got some proper contacts, and I got my reading glasses. Let me start at the bottom here. First of all, here's why I say maybe you aren't at the level you think you are yet on whatever your plan is. And I'm going to give you a bit of an analogy from my yoga teacher, my yoga class. And I don't know. I got thinking about this. I'm like, so does this apply? Doesn't this apply? Is this relevant? But I think it is, and let me explain why. My yoga teacher always says that if you can't breathe comfortably in the position you are in, you need to back off just a little bit until you can get that steady breath going again. In other words, we're talking about pushing yourself farther than you're ready, which is not going to help you. So you can't breathe properly in yoga. So you back up until you're at the level that your body feels comfortable at this time. Now, yeah, we want to push our comfort zones a little bit, but I think you know what I'm talking about here. And I think it's the same way with this lifestyle. If you're constantly struggling and falling off and eating really bad stuff, I mean, come on. If you're back to eating Little Debbie or some sweet treats or this or that, there's a big difference in saying, okay, maybe you're not eating grains and you're saying, okay, I just have to eat some rice, or I just have to eat some pasta. Well, that's not that big of a fail to me. I mean, some people actually, that's their part of their daily diet, but even the people that don't, that's not that big of a fail. But when you get to the point where you go through the drive-through at McDonald's, or you're over at Pizza Hut ordering something, that's a huge fail. And when you do that, that is a big warning sign, red lights going off everywhere, that you're probably not ready for what you're trying to do yet, and you need to step back, take a step back, and transition some more. And don't everybody wants this immediate, instant gratification, and it just can't be like that all the time. You know, we live in a society, the Western society is terrible about that right now. They just want everything right now. We want it quick. We want it fast. If you were just like work, I hate to use these little cliches, but it's one day at a time. If you will not focus so much on this big picture about the 100 pounds, the 50 pounds, however many pounds you need to lose, or if you don't focus on going from, you know, where you're starting at to being almost at the finish line, if you just take it like, if you wake up today and say, I'm going to eat healthy today, today's all you need to deal with. Don't even think about tomorrow. Tomorrow doesn't mean anything. I've spoken a little bit about my transition process, and I just want to re-stress again like how slow it was, because I did not know that I was transitioning at the time. Like I say, in January of 2012, I started taking hold of my health, and I did a lot of good things. I quit smoking that month. I mostly quit drinking. I wasn't a teetotaler until June of that year, but in January, I can remember the day. It was the AFC NFC football finals to decide who went to the Super Bowl. That's the last time in my life I got drunk. So I stopped drinking, I stopped smoking, and I started getting healthier. Like I say, I had done this in the past. It started out like I did in the past several times, and now that I look back, it was almost from April, May, June. I pretty much did like a 5-month transition. Let me see what my notes are here. I just want to read the thought process I was going. Okay, when I had done this before, and then I did it this time, when I started in the beginning, I cut a lot of stuff out. I didn't go vegan. I didn't go vegan because I hadn't heard about this lifestyle but I ate a lot of raw food, now that I'm thinking back, because I started off almost every day with fruit and generally had nothing but fruit or smoothie until lunch. Now this is easy, and what you have to do, especially I told myself in the beginning, I didn't understand, you know, a lot of the stuff back then when I originally started, but I said, oh, this is going to be great, because even though I might still kind of want, you know, some of the other choices I used to have for breakfast, I can eat all the fruit I want. I can eat as much volume of food as I want, as long as it's fruit in the morning. And I took advantage of that. I would eat tons of fruit, you know, have a couple of big smoothies. And then at lunch, you know, whatever I was doing, I usually would sometimes I'd just have a couple of smoothies for lunch, or I'd have a salad. Then I would eat a healthy meal at night. Now, even if you haven't gone vegan, I had not gone vegan at this time, hadn't heard about it, as I say, but after eating that during the day, I was probably by this time down to eating meat only about 3 times a week for my dinner, and it was always a small portion. And in those days, even when I had the meat, it was always like a little bit of beans and rice, some lean meat usually, and some vegetables on there. Or I was like on those nights, like I say, over the course of those 5 months, I was probably eating less and less meat, because I just could already feel how the daytime diet was, and I just didn't really want to mess with that at night. Now, yeah, I was still doing things I don't do now, like I would saute vegetables. Some nights I would just have just a big bowl of vegetables. They would be sauteed in oil, which we know is not good for heating the oil, but that was still a very good, like I was still eating very well, very clean compared to what I had been eating, and compared to what, you know, the average person eats. Time went by, all those months went by, and I was eating, you know, less and less meat. I was eating a little eggs, a little cheese. You know, I thought that back in the days when I hadn't educated myself on the whole protein thing yet. I'm like, okay, we need to get that meal of protein. So a lot of times I would do that. Anyhow, you get my point. I did a long 5-month transition by Yeah, I was probably doing somewhat similar, close, blah, 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 on a raw till dinner, even then, not knowing about it. So by the time in June that I became, the first weekend I remember watching videos that somehow I stumbled across on the raw vegan lifestyle and thinking, okay, wow, can I do this? And it was easy. I stepped into it real easy because I had already done that long transition. Now I made a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes because I didn't know I wasn't eating, if you don't pay attention to how much you're eating, your stomach can naturally shrink. And like I used to think, oh, that's a good thing when you were doing it for weight loss purposes, because the cleaner you got and you kind of slowly started cutting calories and cutting, your stomach will shrink and it'll get comfortable with that. I wasn't sitting around any of those days consciously going, oh my God, I'm hungry, but I shouldn't eat. I just was shrinking away my appetite. I got down to 142 pounds at 6'2". Looked like a crackhead, like I've told you before. And had to start, then that was really when I had to start educating myself. I mean, I had been educating myself ever since the beginning, but I just didn't understand, how much to eat. And I still didn't understand, but anyway, that's another story. We're talking about the transition part. Whether it is ego, impatience, just being too excited about this lifestyle, give yourself the best chance of making this a long-term lifestyle and succeeding on a long-term lifestyle. Put the time in. Even if in your head is telling you, and you watch some of the low-fat raw vegans, or you watch people that are pretty much 100% raw, don't do that. You wouldn't do in a sporting or a lot of skill type activities. You wouldn't try to go and compete or work out or interact with the advanced people when you're a beginner. I mean, go into a martial arts class and go in and spar as a beginner. Go in and spar with the black belts. You're going to get the crap kicked out of you because you're not ready for that. And if you're getting into a new lifestyle, a diet that you're not used to, especially depending on how much your body needs to detox, it's just not realistic to go from a sad lifestyle to, in my opinion, to high carb, low fat, raw diet, just high raw diet right off the bat. You've got to put in the time. You've got to, there are some out there. Don't get me wrong. There's some people out there that are very strong, and they can do a serious hard detox, and they can take those symptoms, and they can deal with all the psychology and the emotions, and they can deal with all the physical crap they're going to feel by detoxing very fast. Most people can't do that. So take this time during detox, even if right now, even if you've got to take a step back, don't worry about that. Take a step back and educate while you're doing this transition, and listen to your body. Have tricks for your body during this transition. When you have just that overwhelming craving that you've got to eat something that's just, we all know it's really terrible. You have to have ways to deal with that, and it's kind of the lesser of two evils. In that transition period, I think you're much better off by keeping yourself full, satiated, and satisfied with things that aren't 100% optimal in your head or in anybody's book. Like, if you're trying not to eat cooked food, or if you're trying to be high raw, well, I think you do better in that transition phase by eating more steamed food. I think you do better in that transition phase by eating organic rice, by eating potatoes, by maybe you do at this point need to use a little oil in your recipes. You need something a little bit more for the taste, so you don't go from one extreme. I think it's better that you use something that's I'm just throwing random numbers out there, a food that's maybe 75% as opposed to a food that's 3%, total garbage. So I'm going to finish that one there. No need to keep saying it over and over. You're smart people out there. But if you're really struggling with this lifestyle, think about it a little bit. And don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as an actual plan, you know. Even if you have to take a few steps back, that looks like, you know, you're moving backwards, not forwards. But sometimes, you know, it's like in strategy. Moving backward is the right move. And it's going to take you farther in the future. So, anyhow, I hope you found that beneficial. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. And I hope you subscribe to the channel. And I hope you're having a wonderful summer. Peace.